Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good weekend, and welcome to a game that I didn't realise I was actually looking forward to until I heard they were announcing it. This is Deliver Us Mars. It's the sequel to the excellent Deliver Us the Moon, which I did a video series on. Must have been a couple of years ago now. The basic plot of the original game, as I remember it, was that the Earth had run out of resources and was basically buggered. And so they set up a colony on the moon, mining the moon's helium-3 to power fusion generators and then beam the power back to Earth. And then suddenly the power stopped being transmitted and the moon stopped responding to messages, and with the Earth's space program in tatters, a last-ditch effort was organised to send you to the moon to find out why. And this is the sequel.
Mission is a go. Copy. Earth to Kathy. Hello, Earth to Kathy.
Cute kid.
And a little explorer.
Hey.
Now, I finally managed to get you a new one.
Yay!
But before I give it to you, you have to promise to take better care of him.
Okay.
Better than the ones that you destroyed before.
I promise.
A moon bear for my moon bear.
I'm almost ready, Kathy. Give me 5 minutes to get into my wetsuit.
Don't overdo it, honey. School and work never stops. Just pace yourself.
No, I know. I just lost track of time. Plus, the subject matter, fascinating.
Father like daughter, I guess. Promise?
Yes.
Okay. So, right. Kid in a wetsuit with a moon bear. Frontier actually sent me one of those toys. It's really cool. So, who are we, where are we, what are we doing? And how is any of this relevant to the first game? Well, the kid's obviously well into the space program. Getting strong interstellar vibes here. Although the fact that there is a space program, what's this? Moonman bundle. With the fate of the world at stake, a brave astronaut travels to the moon. His mission, investigate the lunar colony's mysterious radio... Hang on, that's the plot of the first game. On an abandoned space station. Yeah. Wait, is this saying that the entire plot of the first game was just a comic book story that this kid was reading? Really? No, it can't be. Surely. Although the fact that there is apparently a working space program in this game might lend a bit of support to that theory, because in the... Oh, hello, that's... Oh, right. You see, that's one of the drones that accompanied you in the first game, but here it looks like it's just a remote-controlled toy. Huh. Because in the first game, the space program had been mothballed for decades. Wait for Claire to change. Go swim. Claire. Claire and Kathy. See, this kid's called Kathy. Claire Johansson. Wait a minute. She was a character from the first game. But she was a character on the moon, and we're clearly not on the moon. Is this set before the events of the first game? That would explain why there's still a working space program. Although I'm struggling to remember exactly what Claire Johansson did. I can't remember whether she was one of the good guys or the bad guys. I better just watch and see what happens.
Just 15 minutes from the new campus.
We must have earned a free loyalty relocation at this point.
Lizzie, another one of these seasons and this entire area will be a desert.
Can we just hold off until the kids are done with school and I actually finish a residency for once?
I'm just trying to keep us safe.
Honey, the kids have a dad that commutes to the moon. Safe means something else to them.
All right.
I want to give them just a bit of normalcy, okay?
Gross!
Mummies and daddies are allowed to do this, I'm afraid.
Breaking news as we go live to the southern border of Colorado in the United States, where fighting has erupted between refugees and border troops. President
weren't you going to go snorkeling with Claire?
Yeah, this certainly sounds like the events prior to the first game.
Let's go, Kathy.
Spectacular dive, honey.
Thanks.
The world is going to hell in a handbasket.
Moon bear snorkeling.
Yes.
So that's Claire, Kathy's sister.
I know, Dad. Don't worry. Come on. Okay, bye, Dad. Love you.
Wait a minute. Does
Better get
that
in the water quick before Dad catches you.
does that mean the father is Isaac Johansson? Because he was another one of the moon administrators. Oh, this is all very confusing.
But Moonbear wants to go snorkeling too.
I think he was the one who actually invented the microwave power transmitter network.
No.
Come on, Kathy, jump in.
Alright. What's going on here? I sort of vaguely recognise this.
Dad?
Right. I'm going to get you out of there now. Okay?
Now we're on the moon.
Come on.
Dad?
It's all right. I'm here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not alright.
Ayla. AC unit 72633-R. Ownership transfer authorization 170544. Isaac Johansson. Say the name, darling.
Kathy Johansson.
Whatever happens, you must keep Ayla close to you at all times. Never let her out of your sight, all right?
Yep, that's Isaac Johansson.
Listen, we must be very quiet, okay?
No.
Just listen to me. You have to go. You have to go. How are your legs? Can you walk?
Where's Moonbear?
We don't have time for that now, darling.
I want Moonbear.
I think it's somewhere in this room. Be quick.
Okay. Quick plot synopsis of the first game. Earth's running out of resources. Isaac Johansson over there invents a microwave power transmitter network. A colony is established on the moon to mine helium-3 to power fusion generators to beam power back to the Earth and solve everybody's problems. But the moon administrators come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what they do, Earth is buggered. So they decide to instead use the helium-3 to power fusion rockets to take everybody somewhere else. And when I say everybody, I mean the people on the moon.
Go find me.
They basically abandon the Earth.
Found it.
Great. Now come to me. I need your help, Moonbear. There's a button on the other side of the room. When it turns on, I need you to press it, okay?
Okay.
Now what I can remember is
Now,
that
Moonbear.
certain of the personnel on the moon start having second thoughts.
That's it. Okay, it's time to go.
I can't remember whether or not her father, Isaac here, was one of them or not. Or his daughter Claire was one of them or not, but they're both here on the moon. And, well, I can sort of remember that the colony security chief was a bit of a fascist. And he wasn't taking, actually, let's stop and think about this for a minute, for an answer from anybody. Anybody who was having second thoughts basically ended up getting killed.
We need to take him with us and get him back to her.
He likes me best. After Rosa.
Now,
Absolutely. That's why
all of this actually happened before the events of the first game, and you only discover it by reading logs and records and stuff. Because when you arrived on the moon, sometime after the events that we're watching now, the whole place was deserted. Everyone was gone. Some of the rockets were missing. What's going on here?
All planning to abandon Earth?
Let's tell the team we've got the Lunar Council AAC in our hands. We need to see more of these holograms.
Ace. Ace, it's me.
Yeah, they also didn't bother to tell everybody that they were abandoning the moon, and were planning on leaving non-essential personnel behind to die. They were a lovely bunch. Can't remember whether or not Isaac was one of them, or whether or not he had a crisis of conscience and changed his mind. Hopefully this will explain it.
What are you doing?
ASC unit number 67354-N.
Because we never got to actually directly witness any of these events in the first game. They were all, it all happened after the fact.
Dad, Ace isn't like this.
It's okay. He doesn't know we're taking him back to see Rosa. Isaac Johansson. We've got to hurry. They're probably looking for us now.
Dad, my legs hurt.
Come, I'll carry you.
And there were a lot of questions that were unanswered at the end of the first game as well. Like, what the hell happened to Isaac Johansson? I think we may be about to find out. Because his daughter Claire did survive. She was found in a cryopod.
Claire? Claire? Dad! That was Claire!
Hey!
Why are you running away?
If Claire catches us, they'll take me far away from you.
They're making Claire out to be the bad guy here, but I'm not entirely sure that's true. I mean, she clearly opposes what her father's trying to do here. But what is it that he's trying to do? Because this looks like the control room for one of the fusion arcs that they were building to evacuate the colony.
Where are we going?
We're going to
Evacuate the important people from the colony. Yep. So he's initiating the launch sequence for that massive fusion arc.
It's working. Wait, why isn't Vita's door opening? Come on, come on!
But he's not planning on taking anybody other than himself and Cassie. So, seems like a bit of a selfish arsehole. Not entirely sure he's the good guy here. Also, I noticed the light was on the switch by the door. And Claire's yelling at me to open it. I wonder if I can actually go and open it. I wonder what would happen if I did.
I need to get that door open. Follow me, quick!
No, too late. Had my chance. The light's gone out. What's that? You know what? I don't think that's really important right now. I think we have a rocket to get to. Oh, I'm confused. I don't know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. I mean, they might all be the bad guys. Because they are all planning on abandoning Earth.
I'm almost through.
And just
Come on.
taking these fusion arcs to somewhere else. Oh no, the kid's tripped. Well, of course she has. And is that Claire? So, Dad, a little help.
Dad!
Coming, move it! Claire, stop!
So, yeah, I don't know. It looks like Isaac.
No!
He's certainly not having second thoughts about turning the power off back to Earth. And he's very selfishly just trying to take an entire arc and all of its resources for himself.
Initiated. Clear blast chamber.
It's hard to see how he's the good guy in this situation. I think everybody needs to get out of this room though, because it's about to become a launch chamber. I mean, that's a fusion rocket. Also, aren't they going to have to open the doors? Which means this entire place is going to become a vacuum shortly before it becomes a blast furnace. So, yeah.
Alert.
You should probably be moving.
Clear blast chamber.
Dad!
Yep, there it is. Time to leave, folks. Yeah, control room sounds like a good option. Also, Isaac, you might be a bit of a git, but you probably want to get on board that rocket before it takes off without you. This would explain why some of the arcs were missing at the end of the first game. I mean, the people on the moon who tried to say, no, you can't just abandon the Earth, they were all killed for daring to object, and, well, there were the non-essential personnel who were just left to die. But everybody else, because this entire moon colony, when you got here in the first game, was completely deserted, so obviously some people, not just Isaac here, some people managed to get off the moon in these rockets. Although there was one survivor found alive in a cryopod right at the end of the first game. Now this is actually pretty impressive. I can't remember who that character was though, the one found alive in a cryopod at the end of the first game. I thought it was Claire Johansson, but no. No, it was... I can't remember her name, but there was an engineer whose story you were following through mission logs throughout the course of the first game, and you just assumed she died. But she was the one that you found in the cryopod, still alive at the end of the game. Now that was Deliver Us the Moon. But this, however, as you can probably tell by the big white letters, is Deliver Us Mars, the sequel. And yet so far everything we've seen has taken place before the events of the first game. So, let's crack on. Where are we now? It does look vaguely Earth-like. We've got a bunch of radio telescopes that look like they've seen better days. We've got some serious rising sea levels and coastal erosion going on there. Yeah, we're definitely on Earth. This looks like a launch facility. Oh, that's the VAB. That's the Vehicle Assembly Building at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral. So we are on Earth. This is Cape Canaveral. I think that's the biggest building on Earth, by the way. Not the tallest. Obviously that's the Burj Khalifa. But by volume, I'm pretty sure the VAB is, or at the very least was, the biggest building on this planet. So we're definitely at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral. The question is when. So I'm going with after the events of the first game, because it looks like... oh, there you go, 2068 AD. So 8 years after the events that you just saw happening on the moon. And I'm guessing that this is Kathy Johansson. 8 years older, but still not particularly old. She looks about, I don't know, 14, 15?
What do you think, Ayla? Reckon we'll get a few more months out of this relic? Yeah, me neither.
She certainly doesn't sound like she's 14 or 15. In fact, I just googled it, and the actress, Elise Chappell, who plays the role of this character, is actually 30 years old. Yeah.
If your butt is starting to hurt from the car seat, you're welcome to come up here and help me.
I mean, she's doing a fine job.
No, I'm good. Besides, I wouldn't be much help anyway.
You're right. You wouldn't.
Listen, MPT systems are for nerds.
Okay. Okay, bro. Just be honest. You're feeling too threatened by me and my super brain.
That super brain of yours still needs to be chaperoned to every MPT dish by a senior staff member like me. Remember?
Wait, did you finally admit that you're old?
Whatever.
Anyway, I'm nearly done. Just have to cut out some plating that's obstructing the beam's waveguide. Can you let Moonhub know the dish is ready to receive?
Already did. Don't forget to hook the stream points back up to the receivers.
Mm-hmm, got it.
She just doesn't sound completely age appropriate. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time somebody's been cast for a role that they're way too old for. Does anybody remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Nicholas Brendon played the role of Xander in that. And he's playing a high school teenager. But at the time he was in that role, he was actually 30 years old. And yet it worked. He did look like a high school teenager. So sometimes you can get away with it. Other times not so much. Friends, for example. Lisa Kudrow, the actor who played Phoebe in Friends. Remember, it was a sitcom about a bunch of 20-somethings. And she's at least 6 years older than every other member of the cast. Now, when you're casting a bunch of people who are playing characters who are all in their 40s or 50s, maybe even the 30s, 6 years isn't a huge age gap. But when you're casting a bunch of people who are supposed to be in their 20s, it kind of is. And it was fairly obvious. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it did kind of work because Lisa Kudrow played an amazing character, but there was no way anybody was going to believe she was the same age as the rest of the cast. Well, this is all very interesting, Jingles, but what does it have to do with Deliver Us Mars? Well, we've got a 30-year-old voice actress who's doing a great job, by the way. Nothing wrong with the performance, but she's a 30-year-old voice actress playing the role of a 14 or 15-year-old girl. What am I supposed to cut? Oh, right. It couldn't be more obvious. I still managed to get it wrong. Yes. Okay, there's one. Looks like I've got another two. I was initially confused by that sort of pie graph thing upstairs. I thought, what am I supposed to do here? Nothing. That's just indicating the amount of power that's being supplied to the component that you're looking at. And now, there we go.
All right, Now let's get the stream points hooked up and then we're done.
So, now where are we going? If ever you get lost, you can just press T to show your objectives. And it will tell you what your objective is. And also, whoops, oh, yeah, this place is falling apart. It will also give you a waypoint. I didn't realise this at the time. So, I mean, yeah, this place is falling apart. So there hasn't been massive investment in the space program since the events of the first game, but at least there's been some, because the space program had been completely mothballed in Deliver Us the Moon.
Welcome back to Earth.
Let me hook up these stream points and I'll be right there.
So much so that we basically had to try to salvage a rocket in order to get to the moon, and do it completely illegally. So what's going on here? These are the old microwave power transmitter things, except on a smaller scale. It looks like they're... Well, in the first game, microwave power transmitter tech was only used on an industrial scale, but it looks like they're using it for pretty much everything.
How did people cope before stream tech? Must have been a mess of cables snaking around entire living rooms.
I remember it well. Good times.
Okay, just gotta find the receiver point to connect it to.
Is that it? Again, this is something that you would do in the first game. There were a lot of facilities that you had to bring back up line by beaming power from certain power transmitter towers to link in a chain network to get the power to where you needed it to be. I can vaguely remember doing that in the first game. You can see that's the transmitter tower above the generators. So what have I done wrong? See, I can activate that one, and that should be beaming power from the tower to wherever it's supposed to go. Let's go and take a look. That's the tower. It seems to be running. Yep, it's beaming power, you can see it. So it's beaming power to that station. But now, of course, this one isn't beaming. Although, no, you saw a sort of green laser. I think that's just the guide beam. It's not actually beaming power. So what am I going to do here? Press T, show your objectives, hook up the MPT dish. But this dish is hooked up. Oh, hang on a minute. I've got it. Well, I had to activate the first MPT just to get the door to the other MPT open, but now that that's done, I can switch this MPT, microwave power transmitter, to the other generator. I no longer need to have the second door open because it's already opened, and the power transmitter in there is directing power to where it needs. There we go. I did have to cross the beams. Yes, that was a Ghostbusters reference. How many people watching this video were alive when Ghostbusters came out? It's got to be it, surely. Yep, that's it. The gate's opened. Right. So now what? More exposition, presumably. Hello, Ryan.
This is the third site I've had to hook up to a stream point. These dishes shouldn't be running on emergency power.
Yeah, along with everything else in this place.
These smaller Cassegrain antennae can't withstand another thermal shock. Not with the prolonged power traffic that's passing through them.
You realize no one understands what you're saying, right?
Come on, even you know what a cyclotron wave rectifier is.
Okay, now you're just making up words. Hop on.
What do you mean, hop on? There's a perfectly good seat. Seriously? I have to travel in the back? Really? What an ass. I don't mean hers. That would be hilariously inappropriate. She's only 14. No, I mean the ass in the front driving seat. Making me sit in the back. So where are we going? Get to see more of the world, I suppose. Oh yeah, credits. It looks like the game itself is actually starting.
Claire almost choked me to death last week for giving a beer. Listen, your sister might not be big, but when it's something that concerns you, That woman can kill a lion with her bare hands.
So that's a yes on the drinks. Hello?
Hold on. Got a message that I've been asked to go to Maria right away. Apparently for some classified emergency meeting.
Maria? Oh, that must be really serious. Can I tag along?
No.
You only have to smuggle me past security, and then once I'm in, I'll just...
No.
Fine.
I know that fine.
Claire? You going to that meeting at Maria's?
That meeting you're not invited to. Yeah.
Please, Claire, if you just let me through security, then just, you know...
I really have to. Perhaps you can run by it.
I'll just hear about it later. It's fine.
Look at the state of this facility. I mean, aside from the rising sea level, everything's wrecked. I mean, this is an improvement over the space program in the first game, where there basically wasn't one, but they clearly don't have an awful lot of money to spend on it. And look at the slums that have grown up around the space facility. Source of cheap labour, I suppose.
What happened to that
By the sound of it,
different
very
gold
unhappy
guns?
cheap labour. Although, looking at the state of this space program, I think cheap labour is the only kind of labour they can afford. I love it when a game does world building like this. I hope it's going to be relevant later. Okay, it looks like we're approaching the security checkpoint for the actual space facility itself. Yep.
All right, this is your
Security's
start.
not as tight as I would have been
It is.
expecting.
Just let the grown-ups handle this secret meeting first.
Okay, that was uncalled for.
Just wanted to make sure you're not still going to try anything dumb to get in.
I won't.
I am totally going to
Don't
try
even think
something
about
dumb
it.
to get in. But we're all just going to have to wait for the next episode to find out exactly what that is, because that's it for today. I've quite enjoyed this. Hopefully you lot have too, and you're all looking forward to future episodes. In the meantime, as always, have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and I'll catch you next time.